Another question over there? Yeah, all right. Yeah,
Was Peter's character supposed to be envious towards John Henry in the beginning?
Envious?
Yeah.
I think I looked at it more as at the beginning of the play. Without John Henry, Peter is really a sheep among wolves, I think. And with him, I think it gave the prisoner Peter, it gave him a sense. I mean, he fed off it. John Henry had this sense of purpose. How many people in prison have a sense of purpose? Not too many. So now here's Peter with this guy, and all of a sudden I'm sharing his purpose. And then towards the end of the play, when John Henry's taken away from him, all of a sudden Peter is just a beaten, it's just who he would have been to begin with without John Henry. You know, just another guy in the joint.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say before, you have a really unique opportunity here because this is your premiere. What was it like to be able to have the playwright right here with you as you were working?
I did not contact you once. Not one time. No. Well, you know, every playwright has different relationships when they have this the premiere comes up. I don't actually like to be involved. I don't know how you guys felt about it, but I really like being able to say, here's a script, ask me anything you need, have questions, go. I look forward to it. I didn't see it until last night. I saw it opening night. That was the first time I saw it. Because I think that when you get good directors together with good actors, they will do good work, and I want to see what they have to say about it and what that play is. That I have a sense as a playwright that I've really only ever done half the work, and that my job is done halfway through, and then it's everybody else's problem, which yes, I adhered to. I caused many problems and was not helpful about solving them at all.
Great director.
Were you pushing Robert towards the Robert Johnson kind of idea?
Oh yeah.
Yes, that was a conscious choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and he plays Hellhound on My Trail is actually a fairly famous Robert Johnson song. It's one of the songs he plays in the thing.
I just want to say that, like, the acting that you guys did, like, I felt like I was in the moment with you guys. Like, in the part where you guys couldn't breathe, I was sitting there like, all right, breathe. Like, all right, like, it's just like you guys were really awesome. And, like, this is you guys were awesome. Like, John Henry, when you were right here, and, like, doing your monologue part, it was just like, I had to, like, I was shaking, and she was like, stop shaking. But it was just like, it was really good.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
During the beginning of the play, there was like a part when everybody kept saying like you're going to get out in 2 months, but at like it started progress, like everybody started breaking in, but he kept staying in and he keeps getting hit as hard as he gets hit. He stays in. I'm like, why wouldn't you break out? He break out.
Why wouldn't you trust me?
Talk about Peter?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why wouldn't I go?
Yeah.
Because he's not going. This is my guy. I
Like when he started to go, like he still stayed there.
Oh, I see what you're talking about.
You're an analytical little kid.
I'll tell you, man.
Your father must be in theater. Your father must be in theater.
And at that point, I'll tell you what, I think at that point, I think that's where the play starts to get a little surreal in the fact that, you know, that's a great question. God bless you, Fred. I'm going to have to think about that. I'm going to have to think. No help?
Yeah.
I'm just acting. That's
We do a lot of work when we're rehearsing through improvisation. So we try and sometimes we don't even want them to actually completely know an answer. We just want them to be living in the moment enough that the answer is true. So you ask a good question of an actor who's feeling the right thing but may not know exactly why. But part of the deal is that he has this guilt of having robbed the freedom from Laz. See, he steals Laz's freedom by giving up that information, which he, you know, when he's getting beaten early on, and John Henry calls him on it and says, you know, it's your fault. It's why'd you do it? You knew this was going to happen, He says, no, I got to take the punishment for that death in a way, and sort of like he's taking on that crime.
That's why it's asking.
And so he sort of feels that moment, and he stays. And you watch. It's actually one of the things Chuck does. I think is just magnificent. These two guys in that moment. John Henry rips those chains off and heaves them, right? And takes a moment to slowly move out of his space. Like he looks around, as opposed to Laz, who just bursts into freedom. John Henry starts to explore it, and he looks towards those chains. And there's a lot of reasons why he's doing that. And this huge smile comes on Peter's face as he crawls towards those chains. Nice. And it's this moment where you know that he's so excited that his friend is going to freedom, and he's not going to hold him back. And then he sees those chains, and it's part of what is the reality of his world. And it's just this really beautiful, and it's them. Like the script gives us the core, but those two men did that in rehearsal, and that's where it comes from. So whatever you think you don't know, you're still doing it. Whatever that is. Good question. Right. Thank you. Other folks, Steve.
Well, I have actually a question for Jerry and then one for Chris. Well, I'll comment first on that. When you sing the chains away, kick that foot, how many times does that work that well? It seemed to work perfectly tonight.
Did it work right last night?
3 for 3.
Yeah, 3 for 3.
Yeah. I think the potential for that thing to go flying.
You don't want to sit in that seat.
But I guess my real question is, I would like to hear about the evolution of the music. It's integrated so beautifully into the whole story. I mean, the production was great, but I just think the music is integrated so well, so I'd like to hear a little bit about how that evolved. And then my question for Chris is that the role of his wife is so big in the legend. Was there ever a point in your development of the play where you actually had her as a character or used that more?
No. Well, when it was sort of embryonic, there were lots of sort of scenes that I had sort of, I'm going to write this scene, I'm going to write this scene, I want to make sure I put that in, I want to get a little bit of this. I had a whole big thing, actually, with him and his wife, and a whole sort of flashback sequence, the thing. And as the play, and then as I started to write the play, actually write the scenes out, and I wrote the scenes out almost in order. I started to find the place where that would fit in, and it, like many other things, I was like, no, there's no room for that, that's gone. So it was there, and it was part of what was informing the story, but it never really made it past the sort of brainstorming stage.
And if I could put a tail on that, it's interesting that came up. You're talking about John Henry's wife.
Yeah.
Earlier this week, Laz asked me, as being a responsible actor, he said, what kind of things, I notice I keep talking to John about his wife. What kind of things did we talk about? What did you tell me about your wife? And I told him, I said, I'll get back to you with it. But when I tried to, what I realized is that John Henry in his prison has to make that detachment in order to focus on the work. So what I realized is that for me to give him any substance would make me care too much when he brings up my wife. So I had to just erase it as if I never told you anything of substance. You just know that I have one. Because then I would be lying to you guys. It wouldn't be honest for me to stay. When he said, what about your wife? You got a wife, go to your wife. I wouldn't be being truthful if I still chose to stay at that point. So I took the same route as Chris in that regard.